welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. You know what to do. Like what you see, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. I'm so excited today. I've got Hayley Orrantia on. We've got new music. We've got lots of things to talk about. Hello.
Hello.
You are back. You gave us a single during the summer, and now we've got a new one, Gasoline. It's a fun little song right here. In fact, they've both been. We'll talk about Open Your Mouth as well. But let's hit on this new single too, because is this a bit of a musical boom for you? Is that what's happening at the moment?
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, it was a shift for me as it was for a lot of musicians. I did not get to travel to Nashville like I typically would to co-write with some of my favorite writers out there. And so I was kind of left to just like working with me and a piano. And it was really therapeutic and great to kind of get back to like my roots. And with that came a lot of new music, including this song, Gasoline. And I ended up, it came very organically. It was just, like I said, me and a piano. And I came into the house and my fiance had helped me with like a couple of lines. He actually, in my opinion, gave me some of the best lines of the song, arguably. And then had this producer that I connected with some friends out here in Los Angeles kind of jump on as well. And it just, this sound is something that I'm really leaning towards. I guess you would consider it more pop leaning, and it just feels right in the moment. So I'm really excited for sort of this new wave of music.
Yeah, you said your fiance. We're talking about Greg Furman has got I saw the co-write credit on there, and I was like, oh, that's convenient. That's always helpful when you've got 2 folks who can do it. But it's interesting when you hear the song then, because I mean, what are we talking about here? Kind of a toxic relationship is what's going on?
Yes. So the cool part about being an actor is being able to sort of channel into characters of sorts. And this song came about when Greg was talking to a close friend of ours who was in a sort of cycle relationship like this. And Greg had said, it's hard to burn a bridge when you're standing on it, man. And I was like, hold the phone, that I need that line. There's something there. And so that's what this song kind of started with. And so yeah, pulling from sort of like people around me and their relationships, and then being able to like use my actor brains to like sort of get into the whole thought process is kind of where this song came from.
Yeah, but it's so interesting, just maybe the juxtaposition of, because here you are, you're newly engaged, and the love bubble, I'm sure is full at the moment, but to have this, I mean, we're all multi-layered. I'm not saying anything against that, but it's kind of funny how that works, I guess, at times.
Absolutely. I'm sure there are people being like, wait, aren't you and Greg doing fine? I don't understand. But it's the being able to compartmentalize like the artistry, I guess. But yeah, it was cool because not only did Greg get to help like co-write the song essentially, but we shot a music video together, and he did my last one as well. And so it was just he and I, and he helped direct this one and produce it. So it's cool that we get to work together in so many different ways.
Yeah. Well, talking about your sound and where you are with that mindset, as you mentioned and everything, well, I guess we go back, a lot of people who follow your music, it's not that there hasn't been pop there before, but you've been a little bit more known for country. So what is there anything you see that's kind of pushing you in this direction that you're in at the moment?
Yeah, this musical journey has been a long one for me. I've been singing way longer than anything else. And I've sort of shifted and played with different sounds over the course of my life. And country was one that felt really right at the time, because every song I write is very story based, very lyric heavy, and it really lends itself to country music. But being able to sort of infuse the pop elements that I really love and grew up with, being a huge fan of pop music, that it just kind of worked well together. But in all honesty, it's something still felt like I was playing it up, if you will. At the same time, I'm from Texas. I grew up with country music. And obviously all of these songs are something I'm very proud of and feel authentic to me. But in this point I'm at in my life now, I want to embrace more of these other sounds that are influencing me and that I just gravitate towards. So I don't want to necessarily be like, I'm leaving it in the dust, because there's elements that I pulled from my journey with country music that I want to be able to carry over to whatever I'm doing in the future, including this next wave of music. But yeah, I would say right now it's kind of this indie pop thing that I just have always loved.
It suits you really well too.
Thank you.
Yeah. You use the word, and I know it's an interviewer's favorite thing to ask, but when you said influence, like, are there those artists that, you're talking about growing up pop? Do you have those artists in mind as you're writing these new songs?
Yeah, I mean, artists that I grew up with, I feel like are so drastically different in like there's pop elements, but there's one that's heavily R&B or soul, or one that's more funk. Like there's just very varying influences. But I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, the sort of indie pop music that I love, I'm trying to think of like an artist that I found recently that I feel like I go, okay, yes, this is sort of in that world of every artist attached, I guess you would say. Muna is one that I'm obsessed with.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something cool about that sound, but being able to still like, I guess feeling like I don't have to sacrifice the storytelling aspect for the music, like sonically what you're getting. Cause I always thought in pop music, it's hard, like it's very repetitive and things like that.
Right.
So for me, it's trying to marry those two, and that's an artist in particular, or group I should say, that I really love right now.
It's so good. Their album, it's so good.
Insane.
And
There's a song called
oh, I was
oh
just gonna
sorry
say them finally getting the attention. I think that is for whatever reason's been missing them for the past few years. But what's the song that you were
Yes.
gonna?
The one that I swear, if they have like an added 1 million streams on it, it's because I've been the one doing it, is there's a song called Number One Fan.
Mm.
There is something about the way that song is produced that is just, I'm in my car like, here's the bad news. It's just like so good. It's so good.
That makes sense. So I started to hear that a little bit. We talked about another single that you'd released over the summer called "Open Your Mouth," and that indie pop sound is definitely evident on that one. But it's also, that's another fun story. Like when the first couple listens, I'm not automatically picking up any song I do with the lyrics. It's kind of rhythm and melody. But once you start, like, wait a second, this isn't the song I thought it was. You could sort of twist around. What's the story that inspired this one?
So I actually wrote that song like 3, maybe 4 years ago. And it was one of my last like trips to Nashville that I'd gone to Nashville since then, but one of the ones where I really heavily focused on trying to set up as many songwriting sessions as I could. And one in particular was with a couple of my friends, Simon Reed and Kaylee Shore. And Kaylee Shore is an artist herself. She's phenomenal and an amazing songwriter. And she came to the room that day being like, I ran into my ex that I hadn't seen in a really long time. And I was like, oh, he looks really good. Like, why did we break up again? And then we started talking. And then I was like, oh, everything that comes out of his mouth pisses me off or drives me crazy. It comes off really douchey or something. And so I just excuse it. So we ended up writing this song about that experience for her. And I love a sassy song. I've got a couple that I put out that are more country pop leaning, like Strong, Sweet, and Southern, that I felt like this was just a perfect marriage of that. And the song originally, because Kaylee's a little more like country pop punk, she was at the time, it was that sort of sound. And it just slowly over the years kind of shifted to being what it is now. But I love it. I love the story of that song.
You even worked in that word douchey into the lyrics.
I
I don't hear that it's like, oh wow, that's fun. That's
yeah. Part of me was like, what are my Southern family members gonna be thinking about? Like, did she say douchey? Like, but it had to be done.
Yep. It's well placed in there. This all just, I mean, maybe because the timing also comes on the heels. You were on The Masked Singer. Congratulations on how far you made it on that one. Do you find that has its own influence as you went forward too? I mean, you're doing covers on there, you're doing classics. Like what lasting taste does that leave?
I mean, The Masked Singer was such a wild experience. It was really fun for me, but also very nerve-wracking. I don't think I've ever been more nervous. Because music is something that is like my first love. And so to be on a platform like that and getting to do it was like, well, I hope I really do it justice. And when the producers are like, yeah, you can cover I Will Always Love You. And I'm like, I threw that out there as like a best case scenario, but am I about to like embarrass myself on TV? But it worked out really well. They have, a great like team that was able to help connect like sort of the music to what I wanted to do. And it was just such a cool experience because I grew up singing and performing at festivals all over my hometown and only doing cover songs because I didn't have any originals. So it felt like going back to that a little bit and getting to have fun, covering these songs of artists that I just have looked up to for forever. So it was very special.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with a song like "I Will Always Love You," it's almost, to me, that's like covering the national anthem in the acrobatics that you have to pull off, and something like that. But you've got that one moment in the song, especially as you take on the Whitney version, where you're like, "Oh, that's coming, that's coming, that's coming."
What was going to happen? It was horrifying. I was like, please, Lord, let my voice hold up. Like, I just let now not be the time that anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
But
Well done. Very well done. Yeah. And let's see here. So you said it, there are more songs. I mean, so we've got a couple singles here. I know nothing's announced and nothing's going to be announced today, but might we gather that this is leading to something bigger?
Definitely. The one thing that will be coming sooner rather than later is one aspect of this new wave of music that I'm really looking forward to is because I'm very much a ballad type singer songwriter. Most of the songs I write, including Gasoline, start as a slow song, and I know that not everyone loves a ballad, so I challenged myself to try to offer the majority of these that I've been writing as upbeats first. And so there will be a stripped sort of acoustic version of Gasoline coming that is sort of just how it started, how it was written. And for me as the songwriter, I kind of need that out in the world, and I'm just really looking forward to releasing that next with a video that Greg and I have been planning for a little while. And then, just some more music coming. I really want to have a set group like EP, ideally, is what we're working towards at sometime beginning of next year. And I don't have a date yet, but I am really excited for all the music that's coming out.
Yeah, I love alternate versions too. That's always fun, as a fan. But then, so you're back to taping the Goldbergs. Is there going to be time for live shows? I mean, if not the tour, is there still performances here and there?
Yeah, I mean, I thankfully with the Goldberg schedule, it's a pretty good one where we get like a week off every month. And so I'll try mostly to get that time to finish recording the rest of the music that I want to have out. But regarding like live performances, if something falls out of the sky and comes along, I will be there. But I'm aiming more towards next summer, ideally, to be able to like focus on traveling and performing.
Right. Well, I did see that you speaking of live performances, maybe falling out at Kinky Boots at the Hollywood Bowl. My buddy Jake, he was up there. Jake Shears was up there, and he used to live here in Louisville too, just off and on. So he's from the area, but that, I mean, I'm saying the obvious thing, that had to be an incredible performance. I mean, Kinky Boots is one thing, and the Hollywood Bowl, and you put it all together.
Yeah, that was insane. I got an audition for it, and it was the first actual musical that I've ever auditioned for, because the last one I did was in high school. And it obviously combines all the things I love doing. So I was stoked to get in the room, but also talk about terrified. I'm in front of some of the people who have done iconic shows like Wicked and obviously the original Kinky Boots. And so it was so nerve-wracking, but so exciting. And once I got the gig, it was cool to be able to, I had a perfect role playing Nicola, to like pop in and out and really learn from everyone who's been doing national tours of this. And it's just such a different world from television and film that I caught the bug for sure. Like,
there it is. Yeah.
Really want to do it again. But doing it at the Hollywood Bowl was wild because it's like 17,000 people every night, and you just cannot mentally prepare for that kind of a thing. But it was just, I don't know if I'll ever get to perform that venue again, but being able to do that was like definitely a pinch me moment.
Yeah. So catching the bug, I mean, how hard did it bite? Are you already going, all right, where's the next audition?
Let's just say I told my agent, like, I beg of you, please pitch me to play Velma Kelly in Chicago at any point in my lifetime. I would love to do that. So awesome. I don't know how hard we're working on it since we're in the middle of filming this season, but I would really love to be able to do musicals again, because it was so cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll be waiting for that news to come sooner than later. Like, oh, there it is. We know it's coming.
Awesome. Yeah.
I will quickly, of course, ask about the Goldbergs because season 10, first off, congratulations. 10 seasons is no small feat, and it's amazing what you all have done. But what are we in store? Because, we were left at some precarious moments here. I mean, especially for you, it looks like your character growth is now, is this going to be a season of pregnancy, of motherhood? Where do we get to see you?
We're gonna get a little bit of both. I mean, for those of you, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't see last season's finale, but yeah, Erica and Jeff are having a baby, and it's gonna be really funny. I mean, obviously, Erica as a mom, I think it's gonna be a really cool shift and growth for Erica because she's kind of a selfish person at times, and so to be able to be a mother, like she's automatically, it's a selfless act for the most part. So she's gonna be learning a lot through that. But we're also going to get to see some hilarious moments of Beverly Goldberg being a grandsmother and not just a smother, if you know what I mean. So that, and I've been trying to pitch to the writers, like, I think it would be hilarious to see Erica's brother Barry and his girlfriend Joanne babysitting at some point because they're just a hot mess. And so for them to be like, what are we doing? But I think it's going to lend itself to some really hilarious storylines and some really great opportunities for Erica to grow and learn.
Yeah. Well, especially again, 10 seasons, usually you get to a point after 5 or 6 seasons where things just start to go in circles to still have, new stories to tell. I mean, that's got to be a surprise. Surprise is not the right word because that almost sounds disrespectful. You guys have pulled it off, but still to have new storylines, is that surprising?
Yeah, totally. No, you're not wrong. I mean, I call us like the last dinosaurs because it's just network television like this doesn't happen much anymore, where you're just getting 10 seasons is insane, but doing 22 to 24 episodes a year. I mean, most streaming now it's like 8 to 10 episodes and maybe 12, but it's a lot. I cannot imagine being in the writer's room and trying to be like, how do we make this feel fresh again? But thankfully, because of this sort of new addition to the family, and there's some other elements of the story or our family dynamic that is changing, it kind of lends itself to a lot more storylines that we haven't seen before on the Goldbergs. But you're not wrong. It's definitely hard to come up with new things, I think, for one family in 10 years.
Well, the family dynamic's changing, and I will ask this question very gently. Are the cast changes as felt as we think they might be?
I would say no. I would personally say that we have all kind of prepared for this. And I think that we're really looking forward to sort of the ease of this next season and the process of filming. And I would really hope that the audience, in the way that the writers have been able to present this change, that they will be able to respect it with us and kind of go along the journey, because it's a tough one. I know it's not an easy thing, but at the same time, we're really looking forward to what this season's going to bring for us.
Yeah. Well, just to hit on what we'd already said, I mean, with 10 seasons, any other show, you would be getting changes at this point anyway. So it almost seems like, and that it's such a natural, but it's a legendary show. What you all have done at this point, it's a legendary show. So congratulations on that. Not that I've got to be the millionth person to probably tell you.
Thank you. No, it's really wild. Like, I still have moments where I'm like, I started this when I was 19. I'm 28 now, and my entire 20s, like growing up on this show, it's just so wild to know that not only has this been a big part of my life, but meeting people that have said they tune in and it's been a big part of their family's lives. So it's wild.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to all the music that you have on the way as well. In the meantime, thanks for putting out Gasoline. This is a great one. And congratulations on everything else as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for taking the time to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All three of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.